Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the betting show for UFC Fight Night between Cory Sandhagen and Yadong. We're going to talk two plays like we always do here. Excited to break this one down. And listen, a lot of these cards, and on my show here, I talk, and I talk, and I talk, and I have so much information, so much to discuss, that sometimes I draw these shows out a little bit too long. I'm just going to try to consolidate these a little bit, try to cut it down a little bit. I know I say that, and this is going to be an hour show, but I'm going to give it a shot, okay? So that's number one. Number two, this weekend I have a 5% max play. Very rare. I don't really, offer too many of these 5% spots that I really do like here over the last 17 months. I've hit 68% of these, been cashing in on these. Love this spot. The spot I'm going to be talking about for clients, if you want to go become a client, link down in the description, is an even money play. I love this spot. Think this spot should be way more of a favorite. Even money, love the spot. So take a look if you're interested in that, and we'll have some other plays in that package as well. But let's get into it. Let's talk about the main event of the evening between Cory Sandhagen and Yadong. I am excited about this one here. Two guys really looking to move up the rankings, and a couple losses there for Sandhagen, but there's a lot to talk about overall in this spot here. So let's do what we do here. We talk about 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other fighter, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So the first person we talk about here is Cory Sandhagen. Now, 3 fights ago, he fought Frankie Edgar. Now, this is a spot I could probably shorten the show because he decimated Frankie Edgar in 28 seconds. A flying knee, really not much to talk about here. He went out there, did the job, sparked out Frankie Edgar very quickly. So there you have it there. Let's move right on to the next one here because the next two are pretty interesting here. We're going to be talking about Cory Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw. Now, these Dillashaw and Peter Yan are two high-level fights, two high-level, elite-level fighters, so it's very interesting to see how Cory Sandhagen panned out there. The first thing here that you did see with Cory coming out here was he fired a lot of leg kicks right away and just tried to slow down that movement, and I think that's something he's going to do on Saturday night as well, too. I think he's going to be looking to chop at Song's legs, get the power, lower the power on him, lower the movement, lower the drive on him. And he was able to do that very successfully early on. But what TJ did, and really I think it showed TJ adapting to what was happening because, of course, TJ, he's been out, all these things. He comes into this fight, and he looked great. He looked great. He's the guy that normally has that unorthodox style, that unorthodox movement. Of course, Sandhagen has a lot of footwork, a lot of movement, but the way this went down and once he was starting to get those leg kicks was really smothering the movement of Cory Sandhagen. You saw TJ Dillashaw getting in front of him, getting his hands on him, continually grappling, smothering that movement, and then when he got, there was space, he was able to kind of keep pushing, keep landing some shots, smother him, and that really, it was almost like Cory didn't have an answer to really ways to kind of counter some of these things. And that really allowed a lot of TJ to kind of dictate the pace. It was really allowing him to kind of, Cory getting a little bit nervous about how close he's getting. Is he going to shoot for the level changes? And then he was able to consistently kind of get him up against the cage, outwork him up against the cage. And that really was how, it kind of went throughout this fight. Even when they were separated, Cory landed a nice shot, did drop TJ. I think that was the second round that he did drop him there, though. But again, that pressure, the forward pressure, getting his hands on him, really allowed him to chip away on the scorecards over the 5 rounds there. And he goes out there, he does get the victory. TJ Dillashaw does win via decision, but it was a very close fight. And again, high-level guy. Cory showed what he can do in there, but he ends up losing. So there you have it there. And then most recently, he fought Peter Yan. Now another killer in the division as well, too. And early again, Cory's movement looked great. And something that Peter Yan does a lot in these fights is he kind of, I don't know if it's taking off the first round, but he does kind of download data. He kind of allows the fighter to kind of have the movement, being able to kind of pick up how he's throwing these strikes, the combinations, the footwork, and then he starts to use it throughout the fight. And early in this fight here, it really was the range of the footwork of Cory again, landing nice shots, keeping good footwork, working on the outside. It showed almost problematic in the beginning of that fight for Yan, the way that he was able to land, the way that he was able to pick the shots. And both of these guys, the way that they even fire their combinations is they're not headhunters. They don't just, they're not a one-trick pony. Both of these guys, even the same thing with TJ Dillashaw, they're going for the head, they're going for the body, they're going for the legs, they're mixing up combinations with the way they're throwing. They'll throw an elbow in tight. They have so many weapons that it really is, it really is a full-on arsenal that they each do have. And that's really the way that Petr Yan, throughout this fight, after the first and second round, he really picked it up. I mean, it really was Petr Yan was landing the bigger shots, landing the more damaging shots. And it really, as that fight went on, Yan just became stronger and stronger. And we have, again, seen that in the past. He was able to pick up this victory, another very, very close decision, but he ends up losing to Petr Yan, so there you have it there. On the other side, we've got Song Yadong. I don't know, I said this at the beginning. Cory Sandhagen is right now minus 200, minus 210, somewhere in there. It seems like it's kind of ticking down a little bit. And you got Song Yadong roughly around the plus 160, 165 range. And now you got 3 fights to go. Song Yadong fought I was going to say Courtney Casey. She did not fight Song Yadong. Casey Kenny fought Song Yadong. And so this was a fight here where you definitely saw the hand speed of Song Yadong. How he fights, the way he fights. He doesn't really set up a lot of his shots, but the hand speed is quick. He's quick to get the counters. That was what was causing a lot of problems for Kenny in this position here, firing off heavy body shots, and really the whole time, which is kind of interesting, but Casey was chasing Song Yadong around. Song Yadong is normally the guy that kind of pushes that aggressive pace, pushing out good volume, looking for those big shots. And this was a situation really where Casey, who was kind of chasing him, but even with the backpedaling and some of these different angles that Song was working, he was still outlanding Casey, which really shows a high-level striker who can backpedal, still outstrike the opponent coming forward. He did a great job there, outlanded him over 3 rounds, so he does get the victory over Casey Kenny. There you go. 2 fights ago, he fought Julio Arce. This is right in the wheelhouse of a type of fight that Song Yadong likes. He loves these types of fights. These guys were kind of willing to stand and brawl, kind of willing to stand and let's trade in the pocket, phone booth fighting, and that's kind of how Arce was fighting in this spot. Early, he landed some big shots. I mean, again, Song Yadong, when he lands, and he lands crisp, it is a big impact. Was able to get a lot of nice body shots too. But this is where Arce is a southpaw. That opening to the body was wide open for Song Yadong to start landing those, and I think that really threw off Arce early in that first round. And going into that second round, it was another good pacing, good pushing forward, lands a big shot, and the shot that he landed, it was a head kick, but it was like half blocked by Arce and still rocked him, wobbled him back, and then Song Yadong unloads with a barrage, drops him, finishes him, fight over. A good showing from him, once again showing that power that he does have. And if the willing dance partner's there, he's going to be able to get those big shots in. He finishes him in the second round. And then most recently, he fought Marlon Moraes. Marlon Moraes definitely was on the tick down at this point in his career, but early, there's nothing to really talk about in this one here. Early, he goes out there, he rocked Marlon Moraes early in the fight, and that kind of almost pulled Moraes back after getting landed with that shot. And you even heard kind of the announcer say, hey, this is good. This is good that Moraes is took the shot. He's shown that has not been very durable. And within the next 30 seconds, maybe even less, he gets rocked, dropped, finished, fight over, a knockout victory again for Song Yadong. So there you have it there. So, with that being said, I think the first thing that we really need to talk about here when you're talking about this fight and how Song Yadong fights compared to how Cory Sandhagen fights is really going to be the footwork and the movement. I think that is going to be very critical for Sandhagen, how he's going to be able to move around, and that has always been an issue for Song Yadong. He's the kind of guy that wants to dig in. He wants to dig in, he wants to fire, he wants to push forward, he wants to really be in tight, really more boxing range than anything is really where he wants to be. And I kind of touched on a little bit before, but the issue also with the way Song Yadong fights. Yes, he's got the power to put anybody out in the division, no doubt. But a higher skilled level fighter that maybe has a little bit more durability than somebody like Moraes or somebody who's more willing to walk into the fire like Arce, you really need to have that movement, and you need to have that pitter-patter, move around, and then find the opportunities to counter, level change, whatever it may be. And that really has been the path. You saw the way that Kyler Phillips fought against Song Yadong, and I think that is a critical part of this too, because they fight very similar. Kyler Phillips and Cory Sandhagen fight very similar. Cory Sandhagen is way better, but Kyler Phillips has a lot of weapons, and he's another free-flowing kind of fighter, where basically, he will throw a spin kick and then flow into a combination and then move an angle, and he's just very, very smooth with that, very comfortable, fights very relaxed. Both of them do, and that caused a lot of problems for Yadong throughout that fight. There were some spots where he was landing, but really it was Phillips' kind of the movement really is what gave him problems throughout that fight, landing, and then also on top of that, he was able to throw in some takedowns. And I think that's also a critical part of this too, because Sandhagen is good on the ground, and I think that if you just get those takedowns, not only if he just gets it down and keeps them down and keeps top control, of course that would be great, but Song Yadong is able to scramble. He's able to kind of maneuver out of certain situations. He's a strong dude, so I think he's able to do that. Plus, he has the credentials to kind of get up off the ground and doesn't just kind of feel placed once he's down. He doesn't kind of just say, okay, I'm down, holding on, when he's in the guard or whatever it is. He really is quick to kind of start moving. So even if he doesn't, Cory Sandhagen goes for these takedowns, even if he doesn't keep him down, it just keeps him thinking, offering up different looks, getting him thinking about other options, putting him out of rhythm. Because if Cory Sandhagen starts throwing some takedowns in there, it may actually keep Song Yadong a little bit more at a distance, at a space than what he's comfortable with. Because again, that's going to be a big part of that. But you back that up also with the fact that Sandhagen's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. So he already fights long. Sandhagen is a very long fighter to begin with, but he fights long, and he really utilizes that reach advantage to his top potential, and that also is going to help him. And if you look at also the stature, Song Yadong, I think, is 5'6". Cory Sandhagen's 5'11". So not only, when we talk about the measurables here, you obviously have the reach on your arm, but also the leg reach is going to be there for him too. So he's going to be able to have some limbs that are going to be much longer than Song Yadong, who's a guy who wants to be close to you, who wants to get into a scrap. So a front kick, a side kick, leg kicks, these kind of offerings I think are really going to help Sandhagen throughout this fight, and keeping a good pace, a good volume with these longer reaches is going to cause problems for Song Yadong, no doubt. But what I think that actually kind of lengthens this fight is the durability of Yadong. I mean, it is pretty impressive. I mean, we just talked about Kyler Phillips. There was a full-blown head kick that landed on Song, and he didn't move. I mean, he moved forward. He went forward, and almost like he just brushed it off. He has shown the durability in multiple fights where he's, big shots landed. He's got 7 losses in his career, only been finished 1 time, which was back in 2016. Impressive. So it shows the durability there. It shows that he may have some disadvantages when you're talking about the reach and the physicality and the measurables also on top of that. So I think that also does help the situation here. Again, the takedowns could be there for Cory as well too. And I think Cory's going to fight very calculated. I think he's going to fight at range. He's going to have to be in certain brawls and certain spots where, we're going to be in a smaller cage. So, Yadong is going to be in his face for most of it. But can Yadong really keep that going throughout 5 rounds? And I think that is where Cory's going to be, early in the fight could be, Song pushing forward, looking to land a big shot. But I don't think he keeps that pace throughout 5 rounds. We've seen Cory Sandhagen is very capable of doing that against high-level guys like TJ Dillashaw and Peter Yan, which I think is absolutely impressive. His loss before that, what was it, Aljo? I mean, he is just, he is only losing to top-level guys, and I really like what he's doing here. I think over the 5 rounds, he's going to fight very smart. I think he's going to fight very calculated. He's not going to get into a brawl, and he's going to pick his shots where he needs to, because he does not want to get into a strongman punching contest against Yadong. So I do like Cory Sandhagen get this victory here, but I like him via decision, which is plus 125. I actually got this number a little bit higher prior to this, but plus 125 I think is a good number. I don't think he's going to knock him out. The durability of Song is going to be there, so I do like Cory Sandhagen via decision, via points, plus 125 as my free play. And the other one we're going to talk about real quickly here, like I said, quickly, we're trying, is Tanner Boser versus Rodrigo Nascimento. You've got Boser minus 200, you've got Nascimento plus 154. And to break this one down here, the first thing is Boser is a small guy for the division. And there's times where that works against you. There's definitely times where that can work against you, depending on, certain aspects or what division you're in. But in this division here, he utilizes that, I think, pretty well. Meaning he's got quick footwork, he's much quicker than a lot of these guys that are in the division, plus Nascimento, very flat-footed guy, more plotting style, heavy on his feet. He's not a guy that's really going to be moving around. I think that's going to help Boser find these angles, find these openings, and as well as throwing in these chopping leg kicks that he has. There's no doubt that Nascimento is not very good at checking leg kicks. Boser's going to be doing that big time here. We obviously know that his grappling is really where Nascimento's comfort level is grappling up against the fence, looking for the takedowns, and then when he's on the ground, he's pretty slick on the ground. He's able to do certain things, find dominant position, look for finishes, that kind of thing. But I think the biggest difference maker in this fight is going to be Boser's hand speed, and I think it's such a difference maker that the gap between each of them on the feet is just so wide that it's wider than I think this minus 200 line is even offering, to be honest with you here. I think that he's got the more versatile striking. I think that he can push a good volume, mix it up, and throw things at Nascimento that I don't think he's going to be able to block, defend, or even look to counter. Again, the smaller cage may help Nascimento get him up against the fence or certain things like that. We've seen that being certain struggle. Nascimento, again, the takedowns are there, but Boser has a 70% takedown defense rate. We have seen him taken down. We have seen the vulnerability for him off of his back, certain spots where he just can't get up or he's unable to get up. Obviously, that's going to be where Nascimento is going to be looking to do, but I think he can find openings. I think his takedown defense, I think he's going to be able to hold it up. I don't really rate Nascimento that high. I don't think he's that good, to be honest with you. I know he's got I think it's 9-1 record, and I don't really see much from him as a whole. I think he can beat some lower level guys in the division. I don't think he can start to beat guys who are a little bit quicker, have more weapons. I don't think he can do that. And if you look at strength of schedule here, that's another massively lopsided part of this year. Boser fought Cyril Gane, which, Gane is obviously a top level guy. He did okay in certain spots there. Owen St. Preux, Ilir Latifi, Andrei Arlovsky. Some tough guys there that he has faced, beaten some, lost to some, but he has been in there since coming to UFC against some tough guys overall. Nascimento, his last 2 victories were against Dontel Mays, who I do not rate high at all, who really is just a big dude, does have some power, but when you're talking about just grappling, overall ability, I don't really see much there. He did get that victory over him. And then even against Alain Baudot. I mean, Alain Baudot is on an 0-4 run currently, and also you look at it as Baudot was beating him in the first round before he almost completely gassed out. They both looked terrible in the second round, and Nascimento ended up, kind of just, I guess, having enough gas to throw some good shots and get the victory. It was a sloppy fight, but having a competitive round against Alain Baudot already says enough for me as well. But the biggest part of this, and what is tilting me even more towards Tanner Boser, is how hittable Rodrigo Nascimento is. He is extremely hittable. He has a 31% striking defense rate, so he takes shots, and we've seen guys with lesser striking, with lesser hand speed, with lesser overall ability land on him, And I think that's going to be the clear path, I believe, for Tanner Boser here. I don't think that he's going to be able to block some of these heavy, quick combinations that come in. We've seen him look pretty well against other people. There was two split decision losses that Boser suffered. It was against Arlovsky and Alir Latifi. Both of those guys where I actually thought he won both of those, but split decisions, we get how MMA judging goes, but he looked good in those certain spots, and I think now he has a sense of urgency. You saw in his last fight against Ovince St. Preux, he had that sense of urgency. He pushed forward a lot right from the opening bell. He started pushing, landing big shots, got the finish in the second round. I think that is kind of where things are going to go here. I think the faster hand speed, I think, is absolutely going to be a big problem for Nascimento. Nascimento has sloppy striking. He keeps his chin in the air. He's very hittable. So for me here, I do like Tanner Boser, minus 200. I think he can go out there and blow the doors out of Nascimento. But I like Boser via knockout, plus 170, I think is a great price. I think he has a sense of urgency now. He's not looking to pitter-patter, and I think the big shots will be available to land on Nascimento's chin. So as my other free play, I will take Tanner Boser via KO, plus 170. So there you have it. Those are my free plays for this weekend's UFC card. If you want to become a client, link down in the description. I have my 5% max play this weekend coming up. I am excited about it. Even money, and this one should be cashing. I'm excited about it. And that's it. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.